I'm getting 3 days of battery life on my Galaxy Watch Ultra 2, and sometimes even more than that. And on my Galaxy Watch 9, I'm getting 2 days of battery life, and every now and then, a tiny bit more. So here are the battery saving tips and tricks that I'm using to beat Samsung's own spec sheet. And the most important one for me actually lies in how you set up your Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 or your Watch 9. If you chose to copy your settings over from your older Galaxy Watch, there is actually a high chance that this is causing some battery drain due to broken sync loops. So it's not ideal, but it is always best to set up your Galaxy Watch as a new watch. If at this point you've already gone through the setup and want to start again, to restart your watch, just go to your settings, about watch, and then tap reset. Then when you go through the setup process again, make sure you set it up as a new watch. Now, assuming you've done that, the next tip is one some of you will know, but just in case you don't, you might see this message if you go to settings and battery. If you do, this means that your watch is still calibrating, and the battery you're getting now will likely increase in a few days to weeks time. The watch just needs to learn a little bit more about you and how you use it to calibrate everything correctly. So if you do have a new Galaxy Watch, just give it a week or so before you start panicking about the battery. Next though, if you've got a Galaxy Watch Ultra 2, you might be facing exceptionally long charging times, and honestly 9 times out of 10 it is because a lot of you are using the wrong charging puck. So do me a favor and check the back of your charging puck and look for the words fast charging. This is the one that will work with the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2. If it doesn't say that, you've probably got mixed up and you're using your old charging puck. But there is another part to all this. To ensure that you're getting the maximum charging speeds on your Galaxy Watch Ultra 2, you will need to use it with at least a 45-watt power brick, and I'll link 2 compatible power bricks which will give you maximum charging speeds on your Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 in the pinned comment in the description for you. The next one thing that I've been using for absolutely ages and works great with both Galaxy Watches is this charging stand. It's relatively inexpensive and it does a little bit more than just being a stand. It just really helps you navigate the watch straps of your Galaxy Watch Ultra 2 or your Watch 9. It's going to stop it from pushing away from the magnetic puck and keep everything in one place. It's so much easier just to pop it on charge really quickly. It's so much less faff. It's a relatively inexpensive accessory with a very high payoff when it comes to quality of life. Now, assuming that you've done the reset and have been using your watch for a few weeks now, the next thing to do is find the battery thief. Go to the wearable app on your phone, watch settings, battery, and then you'll see a breakdown of exactly which app or service has eaten your charge since you last unplugged it. You can also see this on the watch itself by going to settings and then battery. And next, on the note of battery thieves, if Play Services is showing up as a huge chunk of your battery, the fix that keeps working for people is embarrassingly simple. Just restart your watch. Power off, power back on. This seems to knock the Play Services out of whatever loop that it's got into that's eating away your battery. It can come back. It is a patch, not a cure, and Samsung and Google have been very quiet about it, but it's 10 seconds versus a factory reset, so it's always the first thing to try if your battery drain is unusually high. Now, next is the battery longevity tip. If you go into your settings, battery protection, it caps charging at 90% and then only starts again when you drop to 85%. That's not there to give you more battery today. It's there so that in 2 years time, your watch is still going to hold a decent charge, because sitting at 100% and warm is kind of what kills batteries. That being said, you've really got to be honest with yourself about the trade-offs here. You are giving up 10% of your daily runtime permanently for long-term battery health. If you're already struggling to get through a day, that is genuinely a bad deal and you should probably leave this off. If you're on an Ultra 2 and getting up to 3 days, just turn it on and honestly never think about it again. And remember, this is a buffet of tips. Take the ones that you think that you need. Don't go ahead and turn absolutely everything off on your watch. Anyway, next tip, if you're using the LTE functionality of your Galaxy Watch, this is probably going to be your single biggest win, and it's much better than the advice that I used to be giving out. I honestly used to recommend that people just turn LTE off, and that's fine, but then you've paid for a feature that you're never actually going to use. So instead, go to your settings, connections, mobile networks, and make sure it's set to auto. On auto, the watch stays on Bluetooth and Wi-Fi whilst your phone is nearby and only fires up the cellular radio when it actually loses your phone. If you leave it on always on, your watch is constantly going to be hunting for signal all day, and if you work in a patchy area, this is really going to eat away your battery. And on a similar point, but this one being a little bit more sacrificial, Wi-Fi on your watch is kind of pointless if your phone is sat in your pocket. Sacrificing Wi-Fi is definitely one of the most constantly reported wins for your Galaxy Watch's battery. People turning it off are getting a noticeable jump in battery life, myself included. So go into your Wi-Fi settings on the watch and set it to off rather than auto, and check whichever mode or routine you've got running isn't switching it back on automatically, as some people are having issues with it turning itself back on. Bonus tip, if you are struggling to find where your routines are, just swipe down from the top of your watch like so and tap the button in the left corner there that looks like a cake. This will be where you can cycle through all of your different routines. Now next, we are going to be turning off one more feature if you want to. It's the new Raise to Talk feature for Gemini. It is a genuinely great thing to have, but even Samsung state that it will increase battery drain. It's definitely something that you can live without, so go to settings, buttons and gestures, Raise to Talk, and make sure that this is turned off. And next, you can also consider optimizing your health tracking. This will feel like we are turning more features off, but honestly, it really won't make a difference to the data that you're getting, but it will help with your battery life. So for heart rate monitoring, you only need to check this every 10 minutes unless you're particularly vulnerable or if you're exercising. Anyway, moving on, this next one is kind of an obvious one, but I just want to stress how much battery it can really take up. And it's always on display. You don't really need to have it on all the time. And if you do want it on, that's absolutely fine. But in certain scenarios, I've seen it take as much as 50% of your battery life away. And in some cases, it's even more than that. That being said, I didn't want this to be another video where we're just turning every single feature of the Galaxy Watch off. So if you do insist on having it on, I definitely recommend using one of Samsung's own stock watch faces because they tend to have the best optimized displays, including the night mode. But in general, you are better turning always on display off. But speaking of watch faces, it's definitely worth pointing out that in general, your watch face choice does actually matter. So I stand by that stock Samsung is definitely the best for battery maxing and looks, but equally, there is a lot of third-party watch faces that are also great for battery. So if you do want to use a third-party watch face, try searching for AMOLED watch faces. These are slightly more minimal and usually on a black background, so less pixels are activated at any one time, meaning you're going to be using your display that little bit less. And my next tip is one that is going to make changes to the default night mode routine and not only saves you battery, but is also going to be a quality of life tip as well. Go into your routines and edit it and set your display to go down to its absolute minimum and then set the screen to only wake up on a button press. That way it's going to stop your Galaxy Watch from lighting up throughout the night, but subsequently it's also going to stop it from using the display as much as well and save you a little bit of battery. And I'm not done yet. I've got 3 quick fire tips for you here, which will also help save some more precious battery life. First is close your apps. If you swipe up, hit the recent icon just here, close all and check the active in background section whilst you're there. This will show you exactly what is still open. Just do this periodically to make sure your device is nice and clear. Then try device care, then cleanup. This clears out whatever is running that doesn't need to be. And finally, uninstall what you don't need. Not because it's running constantly, but because every installed app is another thing that Play Services just keeps checking on. So we've already established that Play Services is capable of draining your battery. Don't give it a reason to start turning itself on. And my next step is another kind of obvious one, but also important. Check for software updates. Samsung has patched a launch window battery bug on basically every single Galaxy Watch generation, including the Galaxy Watch 7, and there's even a chance there will be patches for these watches too. So don't put it off, keep checking by going to your settings and then software update, and as soon as an update shows there, please just go ahead and install it. Next is equally as obvious, but rather than just telling you how to use it, I want to tell you what it actually does, because actually there might be a better option for you, and it's power saving. What it does, if you press this button, it turns off the always on display, it turns off Wi-Fi, it limits processor speeds, drops brightness by 10%, it limits background networks, location and syncing, and it also cuts your screen time out to just 15 seconds, and then turns off the wake features. Which means, and this is the really useful bit, if you've done even half of the tips in this video so far, you're pretty much most of the way there to being in power saving mode without having to take a hit on your processing speed. A lot of YouTubers, including myself in the past, just tell you to turn power saving mode on, and actually on reflection, this isn't really helpful at all. So I'd much rather you fine tune your watch and have power saving mode there as a backup, but be fully aware of what features you're sacrificing. And speaking of sacrificing features, do sacrifice this one. Unless you work in an industrial environment, in my opinion, the new hearing health feature brings pretty much nothing to the table. So find the towel, jump into your settings, and then just turn it off. Most of us just don't need our microphone on all of the time. Next, it might be fair to say that Samsung have ever so slightly oversold the battery life of the Galaxy Watch Ultra 2, so you might actually be considering a first generation Galaxy Watch Ultra. If you are, I've actually put together a comparison comparing the two watches and how the battery life has differed over 2 generations, so definitely check that out and I'll see you over there.